let's say that like for just visualization purposes that you're like this
Mhm.
shadowy figure on the other side, right? Like you're just kind of
Mhm.
ambiguous. That all of these shadowy figures get to come in and be a human and like have, learn whatever it is that they're supposed to learn and take away from this experience and go back? Or do you think it's like a select few and like you're very like kind of like seen as lucky to be able to come in?
It feels like it's one of those things where things operate very differently in the human dimension that they do over there,
Uh-huh.
to a point where it's not like, in your like curiosity about it, you're applying like human rules
Mm-hmm.
to something that won't have human rules. For example, like we think like in terms of like the concept of reincarnation, like, oh, I was in the 1800s and then I was in the 20s and then I was in the 50s, but like that's like that's time in the human dimension where
Right.
like I think it's all happening all the time. So
Yeah.
like maybe your next life is in the 20s. I don't know. Like it could happen like that. Like it's not like
Mm.
linear time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably also not linear space where like I'm here and you're there and I have to move over there in order to be there and you have to move over here. Like it's probably something along the lines of everybody is everywhere all the time
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not, there's no division. Like there's a part of me somewhere else right now. There's part of me here. And for those other people you're talking about, like there's a part of them there right now, but there's another part of them here and there and all the other places that exist. So that's like, it feels like time and space don't exist wherever that is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Man, it'd be so cool to have you on with like a physicist of some sorts, and then have
Because
them.
I don't speak from science. I just like what makes sense to me. I'll say it, but I have no evidence. I don't like,
No, but that's what it kind of all is, though, right? It's just a bunch of
yeah,
theory, and then them just kind of
yeah.
exercising through these things because we obviously know consciousness exists. Like it's
Hmm.
very apparent that it exists. What that means, we don't know. We still can't measure it, but like we're finding out plants have it, right? So science is one of those things that's like so far behind what is right now, and it'll
Hmm.
be so cool when you see that intersection happen because I'm like, how is that going to change everything? Like when you can actually measure what is a soul, what is consciousness. If we're ever able to figure out what happens after we
Yeah.
die, would be, I mean, life
I
as we
don't
know it would
think,
be different.
yeah. If there's one thing I'm like, of all the things I just said, the one I'm the most confident in, like 99.99999% confidence, is that humans cannot understand those things. Like
It'll be
whether you're a
impossible.
physicist or you're whatever, like you can have really accurate intuitions that
Hmm.
are like very close to the truth,
Uh-huh.
but will you ever know if it's the truth or not as a human? No. And will you ever like, is there a way we can investigate all these things and understand them on Earth?
Hmm.
My intuition says that's not possible.
Hmm.
My intuition says we are here as humans to not understand those things
Hmm.
and live life here for whatever purpose without it. And then when we advance to wherever else, we'll regain that understanding that we lost when we came here. That is the one thing that I'm like almost positive about.
Oh man, I think I mean I feel like you're probably right, although I do hope with some of this stuff it's like we I feel like some people need irrefutable evidence to believe
Yeah,
things, right? Like
and that's like
I think it's sad because you're ignoring your
it's
intuition. You're like your internal knowing that's there
yeah.
by design. Like you're completely ignoring that. So one of the
There's
things.
nothing like freedom to me. For me, freedom as a soul
Hmm.
is being comfortable with ambiguity.
Mm,
If you can't stand ambiguity, that's that's just a whole bag of problems. Like
mm,
there's things that are ambiguous, and you just have to be cool. You know?
hmm. Yeah, it's so like for example, and this is like it's not like totally off topic, but it goes into
Mhm.
consciousness. And I think if for some people we were able to prove that like consciousness existed and was measurable, um, like you could talk about animals, for example. Like I have this theory, and my husband always laughs at me, but I think that like orcas and like whales in general, and dolphins, like I feel like there's like they're highly intelligent, obviously,
Mhm.
but almost to the point where I feel like they're ahead of us in some ways, like
Yeah.
spiritually speaking, or like on like that consciousness level, just like the way that they interact and how they have that oneness, right? Like they do what's best for each other. That's why you see pods kind of all shore together, like they all get stuck on beaches together because they get so in sync with each other that there is no longer the self, like they're transcending the self. Um, but there is that relationship, like you hear these crazy stories about dolphins saving, people from shipwrecks, and like there is that relationship that is there, that they know is there. But you have people that are like, well, it's just an animal, so they don't have, like, they're just basically non-existent, like they don't have a soul, they
Mhm.
don't have feelings, they don't have these things. And I'm like, but that's so not true, right? We're discovering that they even have
Yeah.
dialects, like they have different languages. If you scoop up a whale from Russia, it's going to speak a different language than a whale from Portland. um
Listen, and like I guarantee you, nobody who has a pet believes that humans have no feelings. Like not a single person who has a pet believes that.
mm.
If somebody says that, I guarantee you they don't have a
I know people with
pet.
pets that say that.
That makes no sense. Like
I know.
like I just hear you talking. I'm like, damn. Like I'm not being a good dad to my dog. Like I've been screwing up because like he is more evolved than me, and like
Well, my dogs
I
are
just
not.
think.
Maybe I got a low hanging fruit, but I can confidently say that both of my dogs are not.
uh,
But yeah, it's like how much would we change, right? Like we would be so much kinder to our environment and to everything else, and we would
mhm,
understand the earth in a more holistic approach, and um, kind of go not like back to like the old hunter gatherer days, because I don't think that that's possible, or even really, I don't think that's really what's best for us. But to kind of remember the things that we used to know, right? Like there's
mhm,
people that talk about this kind of amnesia that we're all going through, and you talked about it a little bit, to the extent of rediscovering things like farming and welding and so on. And it's like the hundreds of years ago, people understood the importance of being connected to nature and each other, and
mhm,
how we can't coexist without having cause and effects just by being, right. So it's like if we had some way to have scientific data to prove to some people, then I feel like we would move along a lot further, because there's just some people you can't convince. Like for some reason,
yeah.
the story is like I'm better than everything else on this planet because I'm a human. And
Mhm.
I don't believe that to be true. I think we're probably very unique, but I think that we all coexist, and that there is some kind of
Yeah.
symbiosis between us and the earth and everything else cohabitating it.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, not to get political, but like, how can you see what's going on and not at least come to the conclusion that like we are being terrible parents to this earth
Hmm.
if we were parents? Like, we're not treating it correctly at all. Like, who can say that we're like in tune with the planet? But on the other end, like, I feel like I have control over where I'm headed.
Hmm.
I don't have control over where humanity's headed.
Hmm.
And if it goes somewhere different from like where I want to go, or where like I think we should all go, and maybe I'm wrong, then like I can't stop it. And when I feel about like when I think about where this century's headed, I hope we like. I'm a lover of technology.
Hmm.
I adore it. I've always been fascinated by it. I'm always in the know about what's coming, and I do not hate technology. But I hope that where we're headed is a place where we start not get rid of it, but we start minimizing its influence in certain areas of our lives where we've already inserted it and it doesn't belong.
Mm.
And like we can just put it in a place where we get more of the good from it and minimize the bad from it. And hopefully, we have the wherewithal and the community like buy-in to walk that path instead of a different path. But if what's in the cards is a different path, then I'm not what am I going to do about it? You know, like I can't not like I could see things going where I don't want them to go, and like um I hope that I can like have some sort of like influence and like make it happen. But like sometimes, with these life stories, some like it's more common that old people feel like the world just changed beyond recognition,
Mhm.
and maybe that's where we're going to be 80 years from now. When I hear about the metaverse, it scares me a little bit. Uh, like DAOs excite me to the core. The metaverse is a little scary to me just because like
Mhm.
when it's when it becomes as real as real life, that's scary. You know?
No, totally. I wanted to ask your opinion actually on the metaverse because I have a similar opinion. Like, I get so excited about anything being decentralized because I think
Mm-hmm.
what's best for everyone is to not have, like, these one group of people that have been there for hundreds of years telling you what you can and can't do. I just don't think that allows people to live in the most free way, right? I think that's why I love like the community being part owners of everything and you having
Mm-hmm.
a vote in where the system goes,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where it should have been a long time ago. But when it comes to the metaverse, especially because Facebook seems to be on the front of it, what makes me nervous is you already have a company that has been shown to kind of use your data in nefarious ways, not really care about the user. Like they treat the user as if like you're the product, right? It's
Yeah,
not
the
for
prime.
yeah, it's not for
Yeah.
your benefit. And then they already have you in this place where you start to believe things that aren't real. Like they take something down like 2 billion bot accounts a quarter that they take down on Facebook. So you already have all of this misinformation that's there and like it's warping your reality and it's just on a screen. So what happens when you plug in and you can't tell the difference? And I'm like, I just see that being so dangerous. And you see the effects of social media on young people
Yeah.
and the increase
Yeah.
in like suicides and depression and self image,
You
all
see
of
the
these.
influence of social media on geopolitics, like
Right. We've
where
never
we're
been
where
more
we're at right
divided.
now. Like how is that going to make things any better? Like, but like, and I'm scared. I have the exact same fears, and I'm terrified of the metaverse. I'm not so terrified of Mark Zuckerberg, um, and Facebook, the company, because my intuition tells me, and again, I could be wrong. My intuition tells me that their time is up, and they think that they're going to be in the lead in the next wave of technology innovation, but that's just their dumb thinking because there's nobody on the planet that trusts that guy or that company anymore. They don't like they can change their logo all they want. Who trusts them? Nobody.
I hope
Nobody.
nobody.
And like I like they are past their prime. I'll eat my words if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
but they like their lofty goals, they're not going to be the ones that build the scary metaverse. I think it's somebody else. And
Hmm.
it's still scary.
Yeah.
I'm just not scared of him. I'm scared of the concept. He's whatever. He's not like there's nothing he can do to stop his own to stop his money and power from like slipping through his hands like sand. Like it's gonna happen regardless of what he decides. It's just in the cards, and I just know it from gut.
That's pretty cool. I feel like this is gonna go a couple of places. If I was you and I had all this knowledge, I feel like I'd be constantly doing people's numbers to try to like see what like in very
You
influential
think I don't do
people,
that?
right? To see like where we're going.
Yeah,
You don't
you
have
think
to
I
tell
don't
me
do
if you do that or not, but I would be
that?
doing
Yeah,
that for sure.
yeah,